This is Deconstructing Dating, a podcast where we, two matchmaker cousins and best friends, determine whether common courtship concepts are dating myths or dating truths. I'm Tiana.
And I'm Marnie. We'll settle all the age-old questions. Do you wait 3 days after a date to contact someone? Can you have too many deal breakers? Can you have sex on the first date?
Let's find out together and debunk the myths of courtship.
Because dating shouldn't be this hard. Tiana, is there anything more exciting than going to some fabulous tropical vacation and meeting the hottest guy you can possibly find on the beach and just having a torrid affair?
Sign me up.
Right?
When are we going?
That? Exactly.
Wait, I can't say that. Okay, if I was single, yes, sign me up if I was single,
right,
for sure.
Correct. If we were single, I mean, it's a wonderful. And I mean, I'm sure you've experienced it. I know I've certainly experienced it. There's nothing better than vacation sex, right? Going out of town or dating guys from different cultures, different places. Also, too, I will tell you this: as a curvier girl from America, I was a lot more popular in Europe. Yeah, you wouldn't know anything about that. But American women, we get a lot of attention in other countries. So let's talk about dating internationally, right? Let's talk about that.
I think that there's a level of excitement. First of all, you know that there's a time frame if you're just going to meet somebody for a short period of time. But then there's the intrigue of culture, right? So you have this initial intrigue. When does intrigue blur with fantasy, blur with real life? And make it sustainable, because we've heard of international dating. We actually are proponents of international dating in certain situations. But
I've married two men from other countries.
You absolutely have. But
yes,
isn't there some fantasy with that?
Yes, there's a lot of fantasy with that. And here's the piece. If you're going to go into a relationship with someone who grew up in a completely different culture with completely different beliefs and everything else, you need to educate yourself, but you also have to have very, very strong and open conversations about things that are either uncomfortable to you or not comfortable or not comfortable for you, because there's a lot of cultural differences that are normal, right? The way that we grew up, it's normal to us. Same thing with them. And something may occur that you may find insulting or demeaning, and you just have to have constant conversations around that. The problem is that there's a lot of cultural differences with the families. And so I had a wonderful couple that I worked with for many years. And the problem was he was from Europe, she was from Hawaii. And her family's way of thinking was just so foreign to his and his family's that they were never really able to kind of bridge that gap. And they loved each other.
Well, that goes back to value alignment, right? I mean, that's just the core values.
Yeah, there were just too many differences.
And the way that they were raised, and it'll be affected in how they want to raise their children too. I mean, what way do you lean towards? And there's a blend. You can always blend it. I mean, you've done it. Right. You've done it twice. But I mean, for me, I would be very intimidated by that. I think that I am so naive as an American woman, and the things that I'm able to get away with here in America, that when I have traveled internationally and I respect the different cultures, I always try to educate myself just a little bit so that I don't blatantly offend somebody or that I don't make an absolute fool of myself. I would be terrified to do that, but I could see the intrigue. I mean, I think that...
Well, it's fascinating.
Yeah. I think American women are, maybe we're a little bit more curvy. I think that we are certainly outspoken. I think that there's a draw towards that.
Well, we're also sexually, I think we're sexually freer in this country.
Know. I think European women,
I don't know. We should figure
shave.
That out.
We shave.
That's true. We do shave.
we shave everything. I mean, show me an American woman who's not totally bald.
That's true.
At this point, like, put your hair in a ponytail and dip your entire body in wax. That's basically what we're doing. So, if you're attracted to that, then that's also very appealing at a certain thing. But I think that when we talk about, especially what we do in our matchmaking, we have had clients who have specifically requested that they would like somebody from another country. And we really do the deep dive to see if that truly aligns with core values, if that aligns with their belief systems, or if it's truly just a fantasy. And if they're just imagining somebody from another country because they want the fantasy of it. and what it appears to be. And that's a dangerous, that's a dangerous game to play. So,
well, there's also a big difference between, when you meet somebody on vacation and and there's an end date and real life, when the mortgage is due and you have the flu and, your boss is being mean to you at work. Like, real life is hard. Yeah. It's a difficult planet. So, I mean, like, that those variables don't exist when you're in Tahiti running around, right?
No work, no kids, no dogs, no sick parents, all the things.
Right, exactly.
All the things. Yeah, international dating, it's a fascinating thing. And I like to separate the fantasy from the reality, but let's see where it can go.
Let's see.
Welcome, everybody. We have a very special guest today. Today's myth that we will be discussing is that Americans find more success dating abroad. And today our guest is Melanie Reiff. We are so excited to have you here.
Yeah. Hi, Melanie. Welcome.
Thank you so much. I'm so thrilled to be here.
You're moving abroad, aren't you?
I am, in 2 days.
That is so courageous. Please tell us a little bit about that.
Thanks. Yeah. Well, I've always wanted to live abroad. I mean, I think since I saw Under the Tuscan Sun, when I was 16, I've been the 40-year-old divorcee who takes a new lease on life since I was 16. And so I fell in love with this French show that basically is a 40-year-old divorcee, restarting her life. And it just hit my life at the right time. And
it inspired you.
It inspired me, and I loved the character, and I had a trip planned to Portugal, and I was like, maybe I work remotely. Maybe I can go to France for a couple of weeks. And I did. And I was like, oh my God, I love this. And then since then I was back twice just for happenstance. And the second time I went, I was like, I've always wanted to live abroad. If I don't try it, I'll regret it. I'm going to give myself a year to figure out how to make it happen. And so I'm going on Saturday.
So you packed up your whole life. You've been living, and where have you been living?
So I'm from Denver, Colorado originally, and currently I'm sitting in my parents' basement.
Okay.
Until last Thursday, was living in LA for 4.5 years.
Okay. And then you just made the decision to make your dream a reality?
Yeah. And
good for you.
And in so many ways it feels so right. And it's also I have a freelancer visa essentially. I'm a writer. I speak fluent French. There are opportunities there. And people have been asking me what are you going to do? And I was like, I'll figure it out.
Oh yeah, you will.
I'll figure it out. And my answer to get to to relate to this myth also is they're like, well, how long are you going to stay? I'm like, well, my plan is to fall madly in love. So
isn't that the dream though? That's the dream. And that's what we're going to discuss today. I mean, does this happen for people? How often does it happen for people? And what is the theory around dating abroad? So, I mean, you are an all-American girl. I can see your face. They can't. You're a lovely lady. Growing up in Denver and LA, which in itself are two kind of diverse cultures, right? That in itself is two different kind of places, but still a little vanilla.
And in my 20s, to add another fun wrinkle into this, in my 20s, I lived in Colorado Springs because I was a high school teacher. And if you don't know anything about Colorado Springs has 5 military bases and Focus on the Family is based there. So great dating pool.
Right.
Great dating pool.
Right.
And I used to joke all the time when I was in Denver, in my 20s. And I mean, I had I'm curvy. I had so many hangups about oh, I don't think I'm sexy. I was in college, it was my best friend was who everybody was interested in. And then there's Melanie. And so I had so many hangups about oh, I'm not sexy. People are only going to be interested in me if we're drunk. And then my second half of my 20s, when I was in Colorado Springs, I joked so much that I was the queen of bad first dates because I went on so many bad first dates, to the point that I went on one where he posited he wondered what human meat tasted like.
What?
What? Yeah, it was
out
and
loud,
said that to you.
Not his inside voice, a whole discussion.
So, well, we're at an Indian restaurant. I'm super hungry. I was like, oh, I wonder what. I was like, I'm so hungry. And he was like, yeah, me too. I trained myself to eat 1 meal a day. I'm like, well, this is going nowhere, but okay.
You're clearly not for me,
starving,
sir.
So I'm here. And so anyway, we're looking at the menu and I'm like, oh, there's yak on the menu. I wonder what that's like. And he said oh, I think I'm going to get that. It's my goal to try one of every animal. And then he pauses and goes, human's going to be hard to get. And I just kind of do this like,
my God, that's
Scooby-Doo kind of like,
funny.
And he's like, yeah, I wonder what human meat tastes like. And I just go, no. And like, I think like 27. And so I just was like, I'm starving. So I was like, okay, I'm going to sit here and like, how long can this take?
Right.
My 20 minutes, the food will get here and we'll eat fast and leave. And 45 minutes later, our food still hasn't arrived. There's a lull in conversation because of course there is. And I'm like sitting there, drinking my water because dear God knows why I didn't order anything stronger. And he says, in the lull in conversation, he goes, do you watch Game of Thrones? And this was like spring of 2019. So like, great question, fair question.
This guy he's already so weird.
Right. And I just go, no. I was like, well, I don't really do violence. And he looks at me and goes, oh, you don't do violence. And this is like after he's already said, I wonder what human meat tastes like. And at that point, I just go sit there. I'm like,
I'd like, I have to use the restroom. I'll be right back.
I was like, I'm not feeling a connection here. And he was like, do you want to get our food and bounce? And I was like, yes, please. And so like, I called my best friend and she was like, I'm so proud of you because college Melanie would have like sat there for the whole 3 hours and then wondered why it was her fault. And
God
then
bless you. Yep. Good for you.
And then I called my mother and was like, this is why I don't do this. And my mom is the world's nicest human being. Like, kid you not, she is the nicest human being. And I think she was really, really trying to be supportive. And she says to me, well, it's not the worst date you've ever been on. And the amazing thing is, I think she's right. So, like, to give you an idea of what my dating experiences in my 20s was just like a bunch of dry spells because it was just like, who was I dating in Colorado Springs? I wasn't. And then the pandemic happened, and then I moved to LA. And I mean, people in LA say all the time that LA is a terrible dating culture.
Horrible. It's the number one worst city in the country to date. Number 2 is Scottsdale, Arizona.
And I maintain LA is better than Colorado Springs.
Yep.
Okay.
Wow.
And you have evidence to support that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But like, there were a few, like I dated a little bit I dated in LA, but nothing like, there was one guy I dated that was petered out, those things that like petered out. And then you're on the apps and like you download the apps. You're like, these are the worst things I've ever done.
Correct.
And like, then you like delete them and then you re-download them. And then you're like, I want to meet somebody in the wild. Why can't I do this? And then
so that makes me curious. When you go to Paris to reinvent and start this new life with the goal of falling madly in love, are you going to light up the apps there?
Okay. So that's actually like to go to this myth that we're talking about. I have had so much more success on dating apps abroad.
Correct. Yeah.
And I don't know if it's because
there we go.
I don't know if it's because like the consumer protections are better, because I swear half the guys that I match with in LA are bots, because like I'll download the app and then like delete it. And then like, I'll re-download it again in a moment of weakness. And then like, I see who's like liked me and it's the same people with the exact same picture. And I'm just like, no, I've tried to talk to you. You're not a real human. And so I don't know if like the protections are better in Europe, but the first time I discovered this, I was in Ireland and I got onto Tinder. I think it was Tinder, not Bumble, in Ireland. And I was staying with a friend of mine. And she's like, Melanie, have fun. Like, and I had like immediately so many matches. And so I was like, am I new and exotic? Like, is this a thing or is it just better?
Or are the men in Ireland more accepting of women being actual women?
Maybe.
Right?
And like, that's the thing living in LA too, is like, I mean, I am 5'1", I am curvy, I am not a model. And like, I was never on Raya. I would never be able to get on Raya. But like, even on Tinder and Bumble and Hinge, I had no success with whatsoever in LA. Like everybody's like, oh, Hinge is the best. I'm like, no, Hinge is the worst for me. Bumble, I had some moderate success with. And then I was just like, okay, I guess
done. Yeah.
I guess Tinder's a thing because, we can have fun. But even that was like, this is sucky. And the guys that I would find, it was just like, oh, this is who we've got here. This is who we're working with. So when I was in Ireland, I was matching with these very attractive guys who were messaging me. And, since I was traveling,
and they were real.
They were real. And the first question I asked one of them, because I was trying to like, what's a good like flirty question, but like also innocuous enough. And I thought this was a pretty innocuous question. And I said, what's the best thing to do in Dublin? And the first guy responded.
Did he say me?
That's what he said.
I was thinking.
And so then
he's got game.
Bingo.
He's got game.
Okay.
Yeah.
He's got game.
We like bold men.
We do. Then I decided to run a social experiment of that became the first question I asked every single one of them.
I love it.
9 out of 10 was something along the lines of me.
You know what? When this one was on Tinder, we played games too. It's fun, isn't it?
It's so fun. I had so much fun.
So fun.
But I love that in Ireland on Tinder. Okay, so we're talking about dating abroad, and do Americans have more success dating abroad? And when you think of, Ireland is here we're going. That is very typical of, I spent a short time in Ireland and have had some interactions, but that is like a very typical Irish kind of attitude, right? It's a little bit brash and bold and funny and witty and good.
You have to also remember in all of Europe, right? The women that they revere in most of European countries are women that look like us. And I'm referring to Melanie and I, not you, Tiana. We're 5'2". We're very curvy. I've been curvy my whole life. It's just, it's just who I am. It's my identity.
Yeah. And it's interesting because France is interesting. So most of my dating abroad experience has been in France. I was in Ireland for a week and it was fun. But
it was fun.
Most of my, it was fun. I mean,
ever been to Italy? That's fun too.
Not as an adult.
Holy crap. You need to do that.
Well, look, I'm moving to Paris. Before I meet the love of my life.
Take a trip to Rome.
Yeah. And so, it's interesting because the show that I fell in love with, part of the reason I fell in love with this character is because the main character, she's curvy. And there's a little bit of a story.
What's the name of the show?
It's called Candice Renoir. Nobody in the United States has seen it. I talk about it all the time. It's only on a channel called Acorn, which is
I know Acorn. Yep.
Okay. I
have Acorn.
Watch Candice Renoir. It changed my life.
I love British TV. I like a lot of British TV.
Okay, so me too. Yeah. I like my mom, my aunt, and I love British cozy mysteries and crime dramas. Candice Renoir, it's a police show, but it's really a romantic comedy disguised as a police show, and it has the best will they, won't they relationship. It's great. But you watch this woman who's a little curvy, she's curvy, and you watch her go from kind of self-conscious to fuck it by the end of the series. And it just I was oh, she looks like me. Okay. It was just kind of
if she could do it, I could do it.
Exactly.
Yeah. I'll tell you something. My cousin over there, her and I have been out many, many, many times. And I have been anywhere from 235 pounds to 135 pounds in the last 20 years. And every time we go out, no matter what weight I'm at, I get attention.
Right.
And this one's a hottie patati.
I get nothing.
I mean, I just get attention. I could be the biggest thing in the world and it doesn't matter because it comes from within. It comes from inside.
It's the confidence thing. It's very much that. And the first time I hooked up with a French guy, I was actually in Portugal. And I travel by myself a lot. I love solo travel. I was on Tinder because I was why not? And he said in French, "Les femmes curvy m'excitent," which means curvy women turn me on.
Yeah.
And it sounds so much hotter in French.
I'd be
and
I was
so much
men
hotter.
Who like curvy women turn me on.
I know. And so it was I was oh, this is fun. I don't feel like that has been pretty
you
true.
Felt respected and you're able to just be your most vulnerable self. What's better than that?
I felt respected and desired. And then since then I went to, I had one of the most romantic dates I've ever had in my life when I was in Marseille.
Tell us about it. We want to hear it.
We went to dinner. So I used to teach high school choir and he was a middle school music teacher. And I was well, this is fun. And I speak fluent French. And so that is help. I will say for dating in France, incredibly helpful.
Yes. Yeah. You don't have the language barrier.
Right. I'm not as funny in French. And that is I have two bummers of moving to France. And the first one is tacos. Because coming from Los Angeles, everywhere tacos is going to be a bummer. And my second is I'm really funny in English, and I'm just not there yet in French.
I have 2 comments about that. Number 1, you'll get there as you're immersed in it. You'll get funny in French. Number 2, since you don't know what you're going to do yet, maybe that's a fantastic business idea, is to open a taco shop in France, because I've heard this all the time. Like Americans that go to Italy for a month, they just want a taco. And I bet you it's the same thing in France. I bet you'd blow it up.
I feel like my, I don't know if I'm the right person for the taco
for
shop.
A taco stand?
The Jewish girl from Denver is maybe not the
not
taco,
the best choice.
but maybe I could do bagels. Like but my thing about bagels though is like I love bagels. I mean, they're a part of my culture. But like on the scale of 1 to all the bread that I'm going to have at my fingertips in France, like bagels are not in the top 10.
No, they're not in the top 10.
You know what? I want to tell you something. Speaking of bagels and getting back to our topic, I have married 2 men, both from Israel, both Israelis. And since I was a little girl, and I mean a little girl, I can remember I used to have like a photo album where I would cut out pictures of like things that I wanted in life, like beautiful boats and big diamonds and beautiful women, things that I aspired to. And I always had what in my mind at that time were foreign men. Always. So since I was a little girl, I always knew I wanted to marry somebody from another country, which I think is weird. And I did twice.
There you go. Yeah. Well, it's so interesting because like, I mean, I've always wanted to live abroad. Like I tell people that I'm moving to France, and like, whether you've known me for 20 years or 20 minutes, you're like, yeah, that checks out. Like I saw my high school choir director yesterday. She's known me for 20 years now. And she was just like, yeah, no, of course you're doing this. Like, absolutely. Like, no questions asked. But yeah, no, I think I've always like, been attracted by accents and, all of those things. And I think going to that topic of do Americans have more success dating abroad? I mean, it's funny because I've talked to some of my French friends in LA and they're like, oh, I have so much more success here. Right. And I think there really is something to that. Like, ooh, this is different.
Dating a foreigner. It's also exciting. You're dating a foreigner. You have completely different cultural, everything. I mean, everything is different.
So this date in Marseille that I went on, we had dinner and we were talking, like he was so interested in American culture and he watched a lot of like the TV shows from the US that I watch. And he was, interested in musicals, and he loved that I was from LA because he was a Disney fan. And I was like, not LA, but like close. But we were talking and I was trying to explain to him, because inevitably in France, people have asked me about guns or like American politics or things like that. And I'm like, that was during Biden. So like, I am a little like, this is going to be interesting. But so he asked me about like how, like American politics. And I tried to explain to him the Electoral College in French. And he was like, you did a good job.
I don't think I could do that in English.
Exactly. Like he was like, I'm not sure I understand it. He's like, you did a good job with the French, but I think I'm going to need to read about it because I'm not sure if I get it. I'm like, and now you understand the problem, because most Americans don't, like a lot of Americans don't either. And so it was just like really interesting because like he was so interested in American culture and American politics. And like, that is one of the benefits I think about being an American going abroad is like, as opposed to like my French friends coming here, they're like, people don't know my culture necessarily. They don't know what's popular in France. They don't know, like this guy, we're sitting talking about The Good Place, And so anyway, we were talking about music and musicals, and he plays piano. He's a singer. I'm a singer. We went back to his apartment, or no, we're ending dinner. He was like, well, do you want to come over and sing some duets? And I was like, oh, what a yes. Way done.
Yes, I do.
Well done.
Let's duet it up.
Yep. Let's go.
All sorts of duets.
We sat at his piano and he started singing a duet from Les.
This is like the friggin' best date ever. You haven't even started. If Les Mis comes out of your mouth, I'm going to fall off my chair.
Me too.
We were singing duets from Les Mis.
Holy fuck. Holy fuck. Seriously.
I think we sang Little Fall of Rain, which is like beautiful.
But
and
was
sad.
It like a dream with his little French accent?
It was so, and he had a beautiful voice, and he's sitting there playing piano, and then we finished the song, and he leans over and kisses me, and we're on like these 2 chairs at this piano, so it's like not like it would like chairs start to like separate, and it was like, this is not going to work. And so then we move over to his couch, and we're like, this is like, it was very tiny area. I was like, this is also not going to work. And so then we like moved into his bedroom and it was very fun.
Then it
worked. Then it worked
fine.
very well.
Wow.
And like,
that is smooth.
And yeah, it worked. And then
so let's talk about that for a minute. Is that a French men move? I mean, seriously.
I don't know.
But in America, if a man did that, I think he would be considered, feminine, right?
Well, yeah.
That would be a masculine move.
Okay, so here's another interesting take on that, because like the last time I was in France, I went on a date with a guy and we went to a bar and then we went back to we're like continuing talking and he went back to his place and he's like, well, I used to be a masseuse. Can I give you a massage? And I was like, like, oh, this feels, well, at first I was like, oh, this feels weird to me. Like, I was like, I don't want to be like, I'm going to be the one without clothes. Like, both of us need to be like, exactly. I was like, wait, no, this feels weird. And he was like, well, why is it weird? And so like, I had this whole moment and then I realized, like, as he's giving me a massage, that the reason it feels weird is because he's not American. Like, an American guy would never have done that. Like,
never.
The amount of feeling desired, feeling respected.
They truly love you. They love your body. Yes.
Yeah. And like,
well, they love women. That's the thing. They have a love. They have a passion for women.
And I am sure, like, I've talked to some of my French friends about this and I'm sure, like, straight men are straight men, like everywhere. Yep. Like there is a definite, like, it's not every guy, but compared to a one night, I hooked up with somebody and I guess it wasn't like, I hooked up with him a couple of times. And the last time I saw him, it was like, in America, it was like straight down to business, no talking. He was like, okay, romance. This is where we're going. This is what I am doing. And then when he decided he was done, it was like, okay, he leaned over and like patted his head or his hand on his chest to like come like lay on my chest. I was like, okay, we're gonna like cuddle. We're gonna like cuddle and talk. Okay, cool. And he had no care if I had a good time or not. Forget that. Forget it. And so, but he's like, okay, come here. And I was like, all right.
Let me ask you a question. I guess we're gonna talk. Did the French gentleman care if you had a good time? Absolutely.
First.
Okay. First. So that speaks volumes.
Every single time.
When we think about
every single one.
Every single one. So when we think about like the romance cultures, the romance languages, I mean, it seems to be true. If we're speaking of France, we're speaking of Italy, we're speaking of Greece. I don't think is a romance language, but the Greek.
What about Israel? Those Israeli men are hot.
Yeah, but they're not going to give you a massage. Israeli men are not going to give you a massage, are they? They'll pay for one.
They revere. Yes, they will.
For one. They're not going to give you one.
They revere their women, Tiana. They revere us.
Do.
I mean, I've always married Israeli men because I'm so honored and respected.
And there's something about the like language too. I mean, and again, this could be like gross stereotyping for me. My like rose-colored glasses American, but it's like I have a friend.
You know what I say about rose-colored glasses? They block red flags.
They do.
Be careful, but have fun. Keep going, Melanie.
But like a good friend of mine in LA, she's French, and we've been talking about how she's like, oh my God, American men. Like she was dating somebody for a while, and then like we've been talking. She's like, French men just speak to you so much nicer. Yes. And like it's not the language is just beautiful, but like even like the guy who was like the femme curvy mixite, like everything that came out of his mouth afterwards was like super forward and like very sexy. And I'm like, if a American man had said this, it would have been like immediately crass, and it because he like ramped into it, and it like, and I was like, oh, this is fun, and like I was like, why is it that like if an American man said the exact same thing in English, would I have been like, oh, really? And I wonder if it's just like generally on the apps, at least the way that I have experienced men saying things, it's like very much feels like the French friend. She's like, American men, it's like, oh, you make me hard. And she's like, gross.
Ew.
Like,
ew.
Whereas like,
like I want to get beat aside the face with it. Like it's just, it just sounds like a weapon the way they say it. Yeah. It just isn't, there's nothing sexy. Like I'm just going to whack you with it.
Well, and that goes to the guy that the American guy who was like, come like put your head here. I was like, oh, I guess we're going to cuddle and talk. And like, he doesn't say anything. He puts his arm around me, and like all of like 5 minutes later,
no emotional connection.
the fucker starts snoring.
Right.
And I'm
No,
just like,
thanks for nothing. Thanks for nothing.
And I'm just like, are we? I was like,
no,
I'm
don't
sorry.
even ask me. Yeah, don't even ask me. Give me a bottle of wine and tell me to go.
Right.
Like,
and so
don't even ask me to cuddle.
No, my mind is like, does the Harry Met Sally thing of like, how long do I have to stay here before I can get up and leave? And like, he was like bear hug. And I'm like, I'm trapped.
Yeah, no, immediately.
And so like, finally I got up to go to the bathroom and I was like, okay, good night. But like, compared to when I have been with Frenchmen, like even like I have gone on dates with French guys where it's like, there was no, like we like went to dinner and there was like no chemistry or anything. Like, it's dating still. But when there was chemistry and when there was like, oh, this is fun, I very much felt respected, desired,
romanced, cared for.
So much.
Your part in this mattered. I wonder, how does that compare to your experience with the Irishman?
The Irish guy, I only hooked up with one Irish guy.
Okay.
But it was...
I only had sex with one Irish guy. There's time. Once you're overseas, it's so easy to get everywhere, right? Like Ryanair for $37. You can go anywhere.
Great.
It's amazing. I would love to do a follow-up podcast with you and let's send you to some countries, man. Let's do a whole analysis.
You're on the ground Europe correspondent.
Absolutely.
You have to report back to us first. We will live vicariously through you, ma'am.
We will live vicariously through you.
Love it.
Yeah. It's been a while.
I mean, the Irish guy was fun. He wasn't as...
well, nothing's going to be as romantic as Les Miserables French do.
No. And I also think
one's going to beat that.
There's something with the French culture that is very...
romantic.
And it's funny. I was watching the show that I keep talking about. It's a network show and like they don't show like really much, but like compared to what you would see on an American network show, my roommate was watching with me and she was like, this is network television. Like, and because there's just a freedom, like it's not crude. It's not crude. And so it's like sensuality is celebrated. And so the Irish guy, like definitely was fun and like, but it wasn't the same kind of like, oh, this sensual experience that I felt like. Right. And I would say the most sticking out in my brain date in France, my friends and I refer to him as Mr. Bordeaux because I was in Bordeaux, and which is my favorite city in France. And we met and he goes, like, I was on, I think Bumble. He goes, we met and he goes, do you live here or do you just speak French? I go, I just speak French. And he goes, okay, good. Because I don't speak any English. And I was like, game on. All right.
Yeah, I'm
and
in.
we went to go get wine. We're in Bordeaux. And like, normally I would hate if a guy ordered for me. Because like, but like he asked me, he was like, do you want me to order for, like, look, he lives in Bordeaux. What do I know about wine compared to a man who lives in Bordeaux? Please order for me. He asked me like what I like. And we had a great conversation about like music, he was so interested in the American national parks and like everything. And then like later that night, he was like, do you want to come hang out? Like he had a dinner plans, but then he messaged me again later. He was like, do you want to come hang out with my friends and I? And so I went over to his friend's house and it was like his friend's girlfriend, another one of their friends. And we had just like this incredible conversation over like bottles and bottles of wine, talking about like different things in culture, like why I'm interested in the French culture, what they knew about American culture. The best part of that.
Fascinating.
It was so interesting. My favorite conversation there was when we were talking about music. We were talking about like what artists I knew in France, what American artists they knew. And they were like, Queen. And I was like, British. And they're like, Adele. British. Like, every Spice Girls, British. Like, and they're like, Justin Bieber, Canadian. And then they're like, who's American? It was a great question. We ended up dancing to Slim Shady, and I was like, American.
There you go.
Slim
Shady. Whitney Houston, to reference. We were talking about her earlier.
Right.
Yeah.
So the night ended around like 1, and he was walking me back to my hostel, and he like did the whole like French kiss on the cheek thing, and then he kissed me. And then it was like, do you want to go back to my place? I'm like, yes. And we went back to his place and he has this adorable dog. And we had like, it was just the most amazing night. And I stayed over the next morning.
And he also cared about your needs.
Cared about my needs.
Right.
The next morning, he like gave me his robe to wear. And he went to the market, like
Look,
corner market.
Tiana's such an avoidant attachment. She's about ready to run off the screen.
I have so much to say when you're done with your story. I have so much to say about this. Please go ahead.
Attachment over there.
And so he like brought me coffee and juice and a croissant the next morning. And then like, and I was like, this was fun. And then like 2 weeks later, I got back to LA and like we were, connected on Instagram or something. And he sends me the sexiest message I have ever read. That was basically saying something like, I have been thinking about you. I've been thinking about you, all these things. It was so sexy, so sensual. And he's like, I like wish like when you were in my robe, I just like took it off you the next morning. And I was like, why didn't you?
Okay. I dig the message. Yeah. The message is a little bit redeeming for me. Yes. Because I don't have to see anybody. I'm not in their space. That'd be great.
It depends on how I like, this was just like, so it was like 4 a.m. I was like, yes, I'm going to sleep. I'm like not going home at 4 a.m.
Right. Yes.
And then like for the next several months, we were messaging back and forth, and I learned so much more French because like I haven't sexted that much in English, and suddenly I'm like had this whole like romance novel, and like most of it is him, which is like this the poetry of the French language. It was like so beautiful, and like a lot of it was talk. I mean, I do know a lot of it was talk because I was going back to Bordeaux and I was supposed to. Here's where it's like, Mr. Bordeaux.
He's a dude after all.
He is a dude after all. Because like I was going back to Bordeaux in November. I was supposed to stay with him, and he, through no necessary fault of his own, he works construction and had a job that wasn't going to be like that he had to take that wasn't going to be in Bordeaux the week that I was going to be there. And I was like, amazing. And that was fine. And I was like, oh, this is a bummer. And then like he ended up back in Bordeaux one of the nights that I was there, but he didn't message me until like 11:30 at night. I was like, dude, you had like a 7-hour drive. You knew that you were going to be back. And so it was like, oh, come on, man. And it's still, he knows that I'm moving out to France, and he's like, I'll come up to Paris. I'm like, yeah, come up to Paris. Like, do some work, bud.
Okay, so you've got one on the hook for when you go back there. You've got one on the hook. That's very interesting. So as you're sitting here and describing these amazing dates, what most people think are amazing dates,
I'd like to also talk about like the psychopathology behind, the fantasy.
That's what I was going to kick it to you. I was absolutely going to kick it to you on that. Yeah. Okay. So Melanie, as I'm hearing you describe these glorious stories of these this dating experience in France with several men that seem to be universally romantic and passionate and sensual and caring about the woman's needs. Okay. And we're talking about the myth of, do Americans find more success dating abroad? So I think it depends on the American, because I have to tell you that was cringeworthy for me. As Marty said, I am in a complete avoidant attachment. Like if that was going to be the norm, I could not handle it. I guess if I was in the right mood for once, it would be okay. But yeah. So when we're talking about Americans having, I think it depends on the American.
I think it depends on the American.
You're looking for, because at the end of the day, even with Mr. Bordeaux, you're still just they're still a dude, right? They still do things. They're just more romantic about it.
Let's talk for just a minute though about the psychopathology behind all of it, right?
Please do.
It's fantasy. And I'm with you, Melanie. I'm in it. I've been there myself, done it, married 2 of them myself, made it work, right? However, it's work when there are a lot of cultural differences. I'm married to someone who does not get Saturday Night Live humor. He didn't grow up in America. He doesn't understand sarcasm or that kind of humor. It's okay. There's different things that we can, that we connect on.
Right. And I think that's when I've said like, I'm so much hotter in France. Am I hotter because I'm new and exotic, and we know I'm there for a week,
And well, that's it. Is it real? And are you dealing with bills and work and,
exactly.
your parents stopping by unannounced and all the things that life brings?
I will say that anecdotally, every time the first time I went to France recently, or in this whole endeavor, I had so many girlfriends be like, oh, I have this friend who went to France and she met a French guy on a train and now she's married to him and she lives there. Like I probably had like about like 5 friends say that. So like, it was definitely kind of like oh, this is like a thing that happens. But to your point, Marnie, like one of the things about Mr. Bordeaux was like, oh, you don't speak any English.
Right.
Okay. And so it's like, I mean, I definitely speak enough French that we perfectly like had communication, got along and everything. And for me, I'm so interested in other cultures and I like love French culture and things like that. And I like understand French humor and all of that, that it's like, I love this.
So
and as I said before, like culturally, American culture does export.
Yeah.
Well, it certainly does. And that's what I'm hearing a lot from you, Melanie, is number one, you are totally in the fantasy, which is awesome and fun. But number two, you really identify with the culture. You like the culture of France. You watch, French television or things that are seen, the music, the language. There's a lot of things there. And I think that's one of the interesting things about Americans is even though we're Americans, we identify with somewhat of our heritage or some part of where we came from. So I think there's a good translation there. And
zero French heritage. Well, not that I know of,
but we know that we all came from somewhere else, right? Like we know that at some point we were in an immigrant line, most of us, right? Unless we're Native American.
Oh.
And then that has the whole thing. So I think that there's an openness to the different culture. And there's also a point, like if you think of the guy on Love Actually, like he's just like, I'm just going to go to America because I'm just going to get laid all over the place.
Right.
And he's right. So there's also an acceptance in America of, there's an intrigue about anybody.
So yeah, there's also that variable though, Tiana, of how men in different countries view Americans. I remember the very first time I went to Israel with my family, with my first husband, and my nephews honestly thought that all women in America looked like Pamela Anderson, who was on Baywatch at the time. Like that's what they thought American women were like. And so we are different. American women are different. We're freaking bomb ass cool chicks. Yeah. Why wouldn't they want to date us?
I mean,
seriously, let's think about it.
Well, it's like, this brings me back to, this was 14 years ago. I was studying abroad in Greece and not studying abroad in Greece. I was studying abroad and my best friends and I went to Greece at the end of the semester. And like we were young and stupid and could have gotten this could have ended so worse
badly.
Yeah. But like we were at the beach and these Albanian guys were like playing sand tennis in front of us, and they like came over and started talking to us, and they're like, "Where are you from?" And we were like, "Idaho, Utah, and Colorado." And they're like, and we're like, "Idaho, Utah, and Colorado." And they looked at us again, and finally, one of my friends goes, "Near California," and they're like, "Oh, California girl." So I was like, "Okay, right." And like it was, and so I think like your point to the fantasy, like there is a bit of a fantasy to it, but I think for me, like it's funny. I am such a cynic about love and relationships, and mainly
that's
because
what it takes, Melanie. That's what it takes. Like, you just need to find an equally willing participant. I used to say this all the time in my practice when people would say, "Marnie, what does it take to have a healthy relationship?" The answer was always the same: 2 equally willing participants. That's all you need.
Right.
Well, and it sounds like you're very intentional, like you're purposeful. This is a conscious choice to move there. This is a conscious choice. You have all the optionality to start a new life there. So, in what we see in people that are truly looking for love, and of course, this is what we talk about is dating and the myths around dating. I think the fact that you're being so intentional and purposeful about creating a life there and being open to love really, really like
that's how you manifest. Yeah,
right.
That's how you manifest things.
You're manifesting this stuff.
Yeah. To that point, Tiana, I mean, it's funny. I like wrote in my goals for the year. I mean, I joked about how like, oh, well, my goal is just like fall madly in love. And like, yes, okay, but I'm like, I'm telling the universe that I'm open to that. But also like a friend of mine was like, how's that your goal? I'm like, how are you going to like work towards that? And it's like, no, I'm going to work on all these other things. Like I'm going to live my life. My goal really to move to France is I want to enjoy my life and I love it there. And let's try something new.
You're going to have a magnificent, beautiful,
and dating is just part of that.
You really are.
Exactly.
Yeah. Dating is just part of that, but it's going to be
it's
really
going to be fun for you. Yeah.
Part. A really
so
fun
exciting.
Part.
Yeah.
So, I mean, like, for me, it's like, oh, I've had more, and I wonder if part of the, like, I have more success is like, I'm more open to it. Like, I feel like I've joked, I was like, I don't know if I'm like new and exotic or I just carry myself differently.
You're also putting yourself out there, Melanie. A lot of women won't. Do you know how many women, so we're matchmakers. Do you know how many women we have come into our office and say, I can't start this process yet because I need to lose weight or I need to do this. No, you don't. You need to be exactly who you are. Yeah.
Come as you are.
God bless you. Good for you.
And dating abroad scares me in general. Well, dating anywhere scares me. I am completely an avoidant. I do as I say, not as I do.
I'm like go her there. Brain. When we talk dating, about I'm like her brain
coach and relationship expert.
We all need a friend brain. We all need somebody who's going to be our brain when we're dating.
Yep. Absolutely. But the point for me, even dating internationally, would be I would be worried that I don't know the culture. I'd be intimidated by that. I'd be a little bit fearful of it. And I think that I'm comfortable in an environment where I kind of know what's going on and perhaps even have the upper hand. Marnie, I'd love for your opinion, analyzing that. But, I think that it's very brave and I can see why there's a lot of mystique and intrigue around dating abroad. But I think it takes a person
you have to be
really
extremely brave. Yeah, you have to be very brave and very self-confident and very self-actualized. And honestly, if I were single, I would do it every day, all day long. And I have nothing against American men. I think there are wonderful, beautiful men in this country, but I have also always had a thing for foreign men. It's just who I am. I don't know what to say. And also clinically, I know that the answer to this myth is that it's what, say it again, Tiana, what's our myth?
Our myth is that Americans find more success dating abroad.
So the clinical answer is no, that's not true. You can find success dating anywhere if you work on yourself and blah, 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 blah. And I'm making my hand like a quack sound, right? But the reality is, I think we have evidence to support it.
Yeah.
Right? We have evidence to support it, Melanie. Both of us do. I had a 23-year marriage and now an 11-year marriage.
So that's what we need to translate, dating versus actually entering into a long-term relationship, right? Those are two very different things.
But isn't that the goal of dating?
Well, and let me also just say, like, my longest relationship was 6 months. Like, I've not been in a long-term relationship really ever.
Okay.
But if
the goal is to fall in love, it's long-term.
Right. And like, those are some hangups that I have about like, oh no, is this like a red flag? But it's like mostly like, no, either he gets bored or I get bored, or I lived in Colorado Springs for 4 years. Like, you know, where I was in grad school and I was a high school teacher, like there was just like, circumstances.
No men.
And so it's like, no, this is not necessary. Like for me, like with long-term relationships, I think a lot of it is like, I don't want to waste my time.
Yeah.
I want to waste your time. I don't want to waste my time.
Yeah. So right. As soon as you know that it's not going to work or there's too many red flags or deal breakers, you're out.
Yeah. And so, no, my longest relationship was 6 months and then he cheated on me. So, it's one of those, and so there's probably some like psychoanalysis there about fear of letting myself fall in love.
Well, I think that too, because when you were describing like the wonderful experiences with the Frenchmen, all I kept thinking in my head is love bombing, right? Like if that happened in America, we would consider that love bombing. So I'm like, I wonder if there's an intrigue about dating abroad and dating foreigners because you're just sick of the asshole American men. But again, then we're generalizing that all American men are assholes. But truthfully, as we speak as a culture, they just don't do things like that. And if an American man did stuff like that, my first thing would be, what is your motive? What did you want?
Weird.
You're full of shit. You're kind of creepy. Like, do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah, I do. And I think like, it's interesting because I definitely like with Mr. Bordeaux and the like flowery words and all of that. It's a friend of mine calls him our resident opportunist because he like messaged me. He's
still a dude. He's still a guy. It's okay.
Well, and he messaged me during the LA fires. He like messaged. He was like
very nice.
He's like it was very nice.
Very nice.
Like to make sure like that I was okay. And he was like, the news is making it all the way over here. Like, are you okay? And I was like,
you definitely got someone on the hook over there.
I do. Yeah.
Wait, what about Les Mis guy? Is he still on the table?
Unfortunately, No, he has a girlfriend now.
Oh,
okay,
man.
well,
that was a year and a half ago.
you never know.
2 years ago.
All right.
You never know.
I mean, he also lived in Marseille, and that's like far.
It's closer than you are now, but
It's true. That is true.
Crazy as all those dates sounded to me, I would have even went for Les Mis. And I cannot ignore the fact that we went from the worst date I've heard in a long time to the best date I've heard in a long time in a span of 10 minutes. Like eating human flesh to singing Les Mis on a piano.
On a piano, seriously?
I'm not sure. If I met an American guy who did that type of like the Les Mis thing, I don't think I would consider that very love bomby. Like to me, that would be like, I mean, I just don't think I would I wouldn't find many maybe.
Good luck.
Right, yeah. Exactly. But I mean, I don't know. I've heard some of my friends who have, dated American guys, or I mean, I've dated American guys, or who are married to American guys, and their first dates, I'm like, that is incredible. Or we just talked for 6 hours, we just we played and we just kept doing this. And that, to me, that was more Les Mis guy than I'm going to throw this all at her. It was we're having a really good conversation at dinner. Here's something we both appreciate is musical theater and singing. And it was great ride.
That's your perception. That's how you choose to see it. And so you have to remember that we all come to situations, especially romantic situations, based on our past experiences, especially if we've had any kind of relationship trauma. So what I hear are both of you kind of saying two very different viewpoints on the exact same situation, but it's based on both of your personal histories and experiences.
Which is why it's so fun to talk about myths on this show, because we always say, there can be a majority feeling around busting a myth, but there's always going to be outliers no matter what, right? It's never going to be 100%. We're lucky if it's 60 to 70, because there's so many different perspectives that you're coming from. But we talk in generalities here. In general, are we busting this myth? Is this fact or fiction? How is this playing into people? I mean, Melanie, if I were your dating coach, if I were your matchmaker, I would say, God bless you. You are amazing. You are doing the exact right thing. And I have no doubt that you are going to find exactly what you're looking for. And I want women who've thought the way that you do, who aren't quite as brave yet, to be inspired by this, because it just may be the move they need to make. I really do.
That means a lot.
Yeah. If I were your therapist, I would say you keep going in the exact same direction that you're going, sweetheart. Right foot, left foot, right foot, left foot. Just keep going.
What my therapist tends to say. We made a lot of progress in my years working with her.
Clearly. Well, it's clear. Well, we joke about it, but you're an emotionally grounded human being. And so that also cuts a lot of men out.
Yeah.
When you're grounded and you've done work on yourself, also you're someone who's willing to do work on yourself. So you need to be aligned with someone who's also willing to see his issues or parts or whatever he needs to work on.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay, so today's myth that we've been talking about so wonderfully, and lots of different perspectives, of course, is that Americans find more success dating overseas. So here's our conclusion with us three gals, Melanie, Marnie, and Tiana. Melanie, what is your conclusion? Fact or fiction? Do Americans find more success?
Fact.
You're going to say fact.
I'm going to say fact, based purely on my experiences that have been not full relationships, but I'm going to say fact.
So you personally, you're going to say fact. What would you say for the general population? Still fact?
Yeah, I'm going to say fact.
All right. Marnie, where are you going on this?
I'm going to say fact. I think that foreign men love American women, and I think that they are treated differently. And I think that it's very easy to date out of this country. So I'm going to say fact. I'm surprised that I'm saying it, but I am.
I didn't know which way you were going to go on this one, Marnie. I mean, I know there's a personal thing, but I agree with you. So I'm going to go in generality. I'm going to say fact that Americans have more success dating overseas. On a personal note, for me, absolutely not. I think I would be over there eating my 3-hour meals by myself and talking to owners and old couples and having the best time of my life and not dating anyone. That's what I would see my life over there. And I'm okay with that.
My dance card would be full.
Your dance card would be full, Marnie. You would have a breakfast date, a lunch date, and a dinner date. And I expect that for you too, Melanie.
Yep. We want to report
Wish me luck.
back.
We want to
I will.
report back.
I don't think you need luck, sweetheart, but we wish you all the best. We really
Thank
do.
you.
Thank you
Well,
so much for being here. It was
Oh,
wonderful.
this was a delight. Thank you so much.
Melanie,
We were
you are
thrilled
just
to have
awesome.
you.
Thank you for the transparency, for sharing your stories. And we definitely need a follow-up. And I just wish you safe and comfortable travels and a great reception and all the best in the world, girl.
Thank you so much.
Happy dating.
Happy dating. Marnie, do you want to tell everybody where they can find more of you and I at My Mindful Match?
Absolutely. You can find My Mindful Match on social media, Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok. You can also go to our website at www.mymindfulmatch.com.
All right. Thank you.
Okay. Have a great day, everyone.